Welcome to a brand new episode of Leaders of Enchantment podcast. I'm Cameron Ward, the media strategist. Today's guest is someone who's shaping the future of New Mexico's startup world, Drew Tulchin, president of New Mexico Angels and general partner of New Mexico Vintage Fund. Drew is out here helping our homegrown innovators level up, connecting big ideas with real support, real capital, and real opportunities. He's been building up New Mexico's entrepreneurial community for years and proving that investing can be powerful, community-driven, and honestly, a lot more fun than people expect. And if you're tuning in for the first time, this podcast is all about the leaders, creators, and changemakers who make the land of enchantment move. These are the conversations that spark ideas, open doors, and remind you why New Mexico is full of magic. So buckle up. We've got one more episode left before we wrap up season 2. And then we're launching straight into season 3, where everything gets bigger, bolder, and even more exciting. Let's get into it.
Drew Tulchin, welcome to Leaders of Enchantment podcast.
Thanks, Doug. Really glad to be here.
Give me a quick summary of who you are.
Yeah. So Drew Tulchin lived in New Mexico for 17 years. Someone told me that if you wear out a pair of shoes, that means you're local. Some of the people have been here for a few...
So it took you 17 years to wear out a pair of shoes?
Yeah, well, some of the folks who've been here for a few generations might not quite agree with that, but I like to feel some Zia blood in me.
Okay.
And been really enjoyed being here. And grew up in Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
We'll get there.
Okay.
What I was really looking for is when you meet somebody at a cocktail party.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Drew. I am fill in the blank.
So president of New Mexico Angels.
Okay.
And one of 4 general partners in the New Mexico Vintage Fund. And
Okay.
I serve on the board of a national organization called Investors Circle.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, let's we'll get into those current roles. So you started off. You're 17 years here in New Mexico, meaning, and you look more than 17 years old. So where are you originally from?
Yeah. So grew up in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, an idyllic childhood in a college town, top of the hill.
Are you a huge UNC fan?
Yeah, Carolina blue, man. It's the only color.
Okay. What do you think of Bill Belichick and his extremely
man.
younger
We were going to have a polite
girlfriend?
conversation today, so I think I'll skip that one. But those who don't know, basketball is really big for Chapel Hillians. Football is always an also ran, but we appreciate the Lobos. But happy to chat with people offline about the history of basketball here in New Mexico.
Okay. All right. You dodged that one effectively. So Chapel Hill, I've never actually been to Chapel Hill. And Duke is not that far away, but
Correct.
It's not Chapel Hill, correct?
Yeah, you got that research triangle.
Yeah, the Research Triangle, which is North Carolina State, University of North Carolina, and Duke.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so tell me about that place.
It's really great. And it was a college town. And so you had a lot of international folks growing up. You had better food than you'd expect just in a small town in North Carolina.
How big is Chapel Hill?
Chapel Hill's now probably about 60,000, and it doubles in size on football Saturday.
Okay. Maybe triple with your new coach.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the Research Triangle, right? Those 3 areas, you had a bunch of universities all close to each other.
Yep.
And they did a really great thing. They set aside a bunch of land, and they started attracting a lot of healthcare businesses.
Yeah, because when I think of Research Triangle, I think of life sciences.
Exactly.
Okay, and that's why.
And well, it started when I was a kid. I actually kind of got to watch it happen. When I was a kid, to get to the airport was a 2-lane road.
Okay.
And now it's like this 6-lane mega highway that goes right through RTP.
Okay. And what'd your folks do? Were they involved in any of those universities?
Yeah, my dad was a professor. Mom was a teacher. Yeah.
Okay. What kind of professor was your dad?
Yeah, he's Latin American studies, so history.
Okay.
Yeah, they met at Harvard together. And
they
so
did?
Nice little love of common interests.
Wow. And your mom, what kind of teacher was she?
Yeah, she's a high school history teacher. Yeah. So
Wow. So you grew up under having educator parents.
I did. Yeah, no pressure.
Well, I was going to say, okay, what was that like?
Yeah. Grandma used to say, well, you can do anything you want in life, right? You can be a ditch digger, but if you can be a ditch digger, you got to be the best ditch digger.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
And so there was, you should be who you are, but you should be really good and really smart at being who you are.
Okay. And so tell me what you were like as a kid.
No, I was obnoxious. Yeah, I was a jerk.
Okay.
We were outside. It was one of those things like I was one of four. And so it was like, go
one of
outside.
four. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go
okay.
outside and don't come home. Like you can't come home until dinner time type of thing and go play in the creek and go play in the woods.
That's kind of how they used to do it back in the day.
It's better. I wish we could get back to that. You
Yeah,
know?
I've seen that meme that's like Gen X raised on hose water and neglect.
Yeah.
So that was definitely me, except I was roaming Albuquerque and yes, drinking out of the hose.
There you go.
When he got thirsty. Okay. Were you athletic at all?
Yeah.
Did you get into sports?
Yeah, I was into soccer. So we had this international upbringing. I got to be in Argentina when I was 8 years old.
Whoa, international upbringing.
Yeah, World Cup in Argentina. I don't know if you're good knowledgeable about this, but you want to guess who won in Argentina in 1978 in soccer?
Probably Argentina.
Argentina won.
Okay, okay.
And as an 8-year-old kid, our TV went out in one of the games, and all we had to do was listen down the block. And as soon as there was a big cheer, we'd run and jiggle the wire and then listen to the radio. And that was why.
And it was 1978, so this would have been before. I call him Mr. Cocaine.
This is even before Maradona. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. That's
the
right.
hand of God.
The hand of God.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how did you end up in Argentina as an 8-year-old?
Yeah, so my dad's a Latin American historian.
Okay.
With specialization in Latin American studies. And so he was a master at finding these exchange programs and being able to go on sabbatical. And so we got to go down there as a whole family.
Whole family went to Argentina?
Yeah, I learned Spanish.
Okay. Okay.
Great for the brain to get...
Totally.
Yeah, anytime you got kids, send them away to another foreign country. They'll suffer, but after about 6 to 8 weeks, they'll be fine.
Yeah, they'll pick it up. And so even to this day, your Spanish is pretty good?
Yeah, it's just in the brain. It's like the riding the bike thing. And we got family, friends down there for life. So anytime I want to go down there.
Fantastic. And was this Buenos Aires?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's a cool city. I was there, I think before COVID. I forget. It wasn't that long ago. And it has a cool vibe, but it looks like you look around and you're like, man, I bet this place was hopping about 100 years ago.
Exactly. There's actually a book that Argentina claims that it was the third wealthiest country.
Yeah.
For about 18 years.
Yeah, I saw a few references. And actually you look around and you're like, yeah, that building was really nice 100 years ago. Today, could use a coat of paint.
I know. They're really good at keeping themselves down and really fighting.
Yeah, yeah. And so anywhere else besides Argentina that your dad drugged the family to?
We got to go to Spain when I was in high school.
Okay.
Yeah. As a teenager, a little less impressed then than an 8-year-old. But being in Spain, we had a great year there. And got to, again, work
You
on
spent an
Spanish.
entire year in Spain?
Yeah.
Okay. Whereabouts in Spain?
I was in Madrid, and then I got to go to Barcelona later on.
Okay. Wow, that is really cool. Do you think so you were a year in Spain. How long were you in Argentina?
In a year. Yeah.
Also a year.
Mm-hmm.
So was that it? Those are your two international stops?
As a kid, yeah. And then as an adult.
I meant as a kid.
Yeah.
What do you suppose that gave you? Besides the Spanish language, what do you, as an American, what do you suppose that provided to you?
I think it's really important. I think to be able to be in a place where your culture and you aren't kind of the center of things. And so you have to kind of explore. You have to be the other.
Yep.
You have to interpret.
Yep.
I think those are really important. I think all Americans would really benefit, even if you're not going out of the country, to go to a place that's not like what you're used to.
It's not like home. Yeah. I actually do suggest, I wish Americans would travel more abroad. I think a lot of our society's ills might be fixed. Folks would just travel out more and, oh wow, they don't speak my language. Oh wow, this culture is way different. So interesting. Okay, but ultimately you did graduate high school back in Chapel Hill.
I did on time, even. Yeah.
Were you a good student?
I was a pretty good student. It's easy. If you just read things and you pay attention. The real problem was being interested and not being bored and actually showing up and then kind of making it. I think if school had been one more year, I might have started going downhill, but I was able to kind of get through it.
Well, but you went on to higher ed.
Yeah. No, I did. I was a geek, right?
You were?
Yeah. Well, my parents are geeks. We were all around geeks. Everyone's in the university. And so we did what's called AP classes, advanced placements. And so did all those and, did soccer as a kid. And then to prove my geekiness, I took up fencing because as a high schooler, you always need something to make you even more
You were a
atypical.
fencer.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then ultimate frisbee.
Okay, that one makes sense. The fencing is an odd one.
Yeah.
Did you do it? You just thought, that's interesting, or did you do it? I heard someone, it was a podcast, explain that if you're looking to get a college athletic scholarship, fencing is the way to go. Specifically, women's fencing. That is the least competitive. So, kids, if you're girls, if you're listening, maybe think about fencing. But is that why you picked it up?
It is why some friends of mine were doing it, and it was athletic but still geeky at the same time. So it seemed like a good fit.
Okay. I trust you're not into fencing anymore.
I think it's amazing. It's a brilliant sport. I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly athletic.
Yeah.
But I haven't picked it up yet. And then, getting back to that Research Triangle Park thing, right? So we actually had strong programs at the universities.
For fencing.
So as a little high school kid, I got to hang out with these college kids with this national level coach. And I actually got to tag along to some of these big trainings. So I got to kind of train with the university team. So it was a really good skill set of being thrown into something maybe you're not so good at, and kind of having to figure it out, and then having to be part of a team and a group and fit in. So that was a good learning. So
Drew, kind of an odd question, but if I want to try fencing, let's say I'm here in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
What do I do? Where do I go? Is there a fencing club?
Yeah. So
there
there's
is
clubs
a fencing club
and a sala. So you can do, the European term. So there's a hall where they have it set up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know they wear like the outfit with the helmet that you can see through kind of thing, and they're going to provide that to me.
Yeah. And in fact, the tech, you'd probably like the tech now, Doug, because they've got sensors, right? And back in my day.
So it's all digital,
it's
really?
It's now digital, yeah.
So if I get you, you know exactly where I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. How'd they do it back in the day?
Back in the day, they didn't have it. And then they got it for what's called the foil, which is a point. But the saber, which is like that slashing one.
Yeah.
They had to figure out the tech on that one. And that one took a little longer for them to figure that one out.
Okay.
Yeah, check it out. If people ever want to be fencing curious, there's a good groups. And usually, because again, it's
here in Albuquerque.
Albuquerque and Santa Fe.
There's a fencing group. Okay. Yeah. Are you involved at all?
I'm not.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
But check it out. Let your inner geek thrive, man.
I'll have to check it out. I know nothing about the sport. I don't know how you play. So you graduate high school. Did you go straight into college?
Yeah, went to St. Louis, Washington University.
I saw that. That's a good school. Why'd you choose that school?
Well, it's better now. At that time.
Oh, it wasn't quite that elite? Because, by the way, I have down here in my notes, 12% admittance rate.
Now.
So it's not quite an Ivy, but it's getting pretty close.
I know. So it was the after choice. It was a bunch of Chicago folks, a bunch of New Englanders. And we all laughed when we went back to alumni events. Like, we weren't smart enough now to get into the school now. So we were lucky then.
So you got in before the door closed.
Before the door came competitive.
Why? So it wasn't an elite school when you went? And this would have been, what year are we talking?
No, we're talking, I went in 1988 is when I first went to college.
Okay. And so it was, it's a private school.
Yeah.
Why'd you choose it?
I got in.
Okay. So Drew didn't put the bar very high.
It was a good school. It was next to a city, so it had some urban things, right?
Yeah.
It was mid-sized, so I wasn't going to get totally lost in this humongous school. It was private, so it had some resources, like they had good clubs, they had good dorms and stuff.
Okay.
So it was a good mix. And then it was a mix of people nationally. So growing up in North Carolina, even though I'd done that international thing, to have a roommate who's from Chicago or from California or something like that was a little exotic for me.
Okay.
Gave me a chance to be with people who thought differently.
And what's the campus like? Is it an urban campus?
It's an urban campus, a little self-enclosed.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
okay.
And it looks classic, so it make you realize you're in a university setting.
Okay.
It's a nice place.
Yeah. So, anytime I stumble across a university I don't know a ton about, I did a little bit of digging. 16,000 person enrollment as of last year, $12 billion endowment.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
They've done well. It was like the game in town. So, everyone wants to be part of the winning team. So in that region, they did well, both in terms of families and also with the companies that are in St. Louis.
Okay.
And so just the biggest in town got bigger because everyone wanted to be part of it.
I mean, $12 billion endowment. You're starting to push Ivy League level of endowment. That's cool. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so you joined. So you went to school in St. Louis. You're in the heart of the city. I'm not familiar with where it is relative to
So St. Louis is really interesting. First of all, St. Louis is a little bit like Philadelphia, has a complex to Chicago as Philadelphia to New York, right? It's kind of the sister city.
If the redheaded stepchild.
They still talk about the railroad. Like, if only they had gotten that railroad contract.
From 150 years ago?
Exactly. They're holding on to that bitterment, right? So St. Louis is an amazing city. It's beautiful, all these incredible brick buildings, but like a lot of kind of Rust Belt-ish, it's not exactly in the Rust Belt, but the Rust Belt-ish cities, it's literally, when I was there, the population was 25% less than it had been right after World War II.
So by the time you got there, it had shrunk by 1/4.
Yeah. So think about just a place, any place you're in. Think about Albuquerque, any place.
Shrinking by 25%.
And what can be done, what's going to happen. So even if it's a nice neighborhood or things are going well, you just can't do as much.
Yeah. And I know there's a fair amount of poverty in and around St. Louis. And then East St. Louis, which is across the river, is very well known for that. So was it pretty rough city when you got there?
No, it was doing all right. So WashU is St. Louis. The other thing that's really interesting is kind of the Catholic history, right? And so they've got these townships. And so all these places are these small towns. So even though St. Louis is this big urban area, they have all these small towns. And so WashU had, of course, put itself into this nice town that was a separate entity. So it got taxed differently and treated differently in different services.
Oh,
so,
interesting.
Yeah, so you go to these different townships across the way. And each community had its own character.
Got it. Okay. And what, you were there for all 4 years, or did you knock out a bachelor's in 4 years?
It's a fair question. I got to go.
Hey, and by the way,
yes.
I was on the 8-year program. So
great.
No criticisms here.
Okay, fantastic.
Just simply asking.
Like a fine wine or an aging cheese, perhaps. So I got to go. I did my junior year abroad, which was pretty common then.
Oh, cool. Where'd you go?
I went to Sussex, England, and Brighton.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Why'd you choose that?
I chose that one because I liked the idea of being in Europe. Yep. I liked the idea of being close to Europe, so Brighton as opposed to Edinburgh or some other place in England. And they had a really strong social sciences program.
Okay.
So I was there topically, but then they blow my mind. Like, England, they're actually going to talk about socialism. They're going to talk about communism. They're going to talk about these things. In America, you don't really have a concept about it.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so to read and be amongst all these people where I'm the foreign exotic, maybe slightly disdain for the English, right?
Yeah.
But so it was really an amazing experience to just have the diversity, to be access to
full year.
Europe. Yeah, did a whole year.
Did a whole year there. Okay. What's it like living in the UK? Besides gray and dreary.
Yeah. Well, with climate change, statistically, I think it's actually getting sunnier somehow.
Oh, is it?
And hotter. Yeah, there was a drought last summer.
Okay.
So Brighton's a really easy town. It's famous from Quadrophenia and the Who and the Mods and the punks and stuff. So it's a town that has some history.
Where's Brighton relative to London?
Due south, right on the coast, around the channel.
It's on the coast. Okay. I was thinking up further up into England. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, great town. Really worth it. Really worth seeing.
Yeah. Ultimately, again, according to LinkedIn, you got a degree in history and international relations, which I guess now hearing your background kind of sort of makes sense. Although relative to what you're doing today, perhaps less so. Why that focus?
Yeah, it's a really good question, both why that focus then and then where am I now. But, two parents who were history teachers.
Yep.
So it's something that I understood and kind of had kind of a little bit of a leg up on. So when you're really good at something and you go to college and you get rewarded for being good at something, you do more of it.
Yep.
And so it was a filter of analysis. It was a way for me to understand my world.
Okay. Now, my so you have an interesting period. So just to cut right to the chase, you surfaced at the University of Washington where you got an MBA in finance. So now it's starting to make a little bit more sense.
There you go.
Relative to what you're doing today. But you had this, that's like a 6-year period where you're doing a lot of looks like social work. Am I interpreting that correctly?
Yeah, for me, it was about economic development and building
Okay.
bridges. So after college, I looked at Peace Corps and Vista, which is kind of the American version of Peace Corps.
Okay.
Right? It's now called AmeriCorps Vista.
I got it.
And so they both started in the 60s. And the offer I got from Peace Corps was to go to sub-Saharan Africa and work with bee cooperatives. And that felt a little challenging. Yeah. So
Just
instead, I went to California.
You bring nothing to the table when it comes to bees,
Exactly. It wasn't necessarily a natural that I knew of.
other than honey. Yeah, I like honey.
Yeah. So it really felt like, okay, why do they need me to do this? So I went to California and did Vista. And then after Vista for a year, I did AmeriCorps. AmeriCorps was just starting.
Okay.
So I was a team leader in Oakland, California with a really cool organization called the East Bay Conservation Corps, now called Civic Corps.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I learned, team building, how to work with groups, management stuff. And then we were working with a number of different community nonprofit partners.
Okay.
And lo and behold, none of them were quite thriving. They didn't have enough money. They weren't quite reaching any
Sure.
outreach. And I couldn't figure out why. And so I thought an MBA might help me understand how community works and why how I can use business to try to do some of this community stuff.
But I mean, again, I described it as this, 5-6 year period of quote unquote social work. That's kind of what you just described. Was that a passion of yours? Kind of an element of giving back?
Yeah, so to me, it wasn't social work. It was more like social enterprise. It was the idea of how do you use business in a community setting. So, for example, we were doing...
But for the betterment of the community, for the betterment of humanity.
Yeah, but when I hear social work, I'm usually thinking of an individual social worker sitting with another individual.
Okay.
So that's how
Fair
I
enough.
see it.
Okay.
And when I think about social enterprise, I think about the business side of world, the transaction, buying and selling, marketplaces. You're just doing it for a community-minded purpose.
Got it. And then ultimately you kept stumbling across this, let's just say, problem statement that's called finance. And so you say, I'm going to go get educated in that.
Go figure that out. I don't know how this works. And so let me go learn and see if I can bring that back.
And why University of Washington?
I got in. University of Washington at the time was...
Because it's not a bad school. I mean, it's a great school.
No, it's super affordable.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, really affordable compared to its competitors, right?
Interesting.
And
I wonder if that's true to this day.
And then it was also mid-sized. So again, I didn't want to go to like some school where there's thousands and thousands of MBA students. And so... And
Washington's got to be pretty big, though, yeah?
The university is huge.
Okay.
And the football stadium's huge.
Yes.
But, and they're a little bit better than Lobos. But...
Just a little.
But the MBA program was not.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And because it was a small program, they'd done a couple good things. They'd figure out some partnerships.
Okay.
So I could learn both the MBA program and then I could go to their public policy school and their international school. And they also had an environmental program, which at the time, back in 1998, was kind of advanced. Now it's kind of known, but at the time that was like pretty unique.
And so you were in Bay Area prior to going up to the to Puget Sound area? And did you went full time, so you weren't bussing tables on the side?
Yeah, I got up there in 1998. First 89 days, rain.
Yeah.
I was like, welcome.
Yeah. Okay. And you hadn't soaked up the New Mexico sun just yet.
I hadn't really been a desert rat, hadn't lived the desert life, so didn't really know what that was. So the Bay Area, I mean, get some rain, but pretty much sunny. And then Seattle, the gray, although they have a whole expression called sun breaks, which is it's gray all day, and then about middle of the afternoon, you see a ray of sun, and everyone runs outside and kind of tries to get their vitamin D.
And then it goes away.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is grayer, Brighton or Puget Sound?
Oh, fun question. Yeah. I'm going to go with Puget Sound, although maybe you have a statistical knowledge that might contradict me.
Nope. I've spent just a little bit of time in each.
Yeah.
And noticed like, man, it's gray here. That would get to me. Okay, so you're newly minted MBA. Then what?
Yeah, so finished up the MBA, and it was the year 2000. So those, again, who are students of history or had to live it.
Bubble.
.com bub.
Yeah.
So I ended up...
Second time that's come up today, by the way.
Yeah.
Emily Howard brought it up.
Yeah. And then I had kind of 3 doors in front of me.
Okay.
One was to go back to the social work world that you're talking about, right, and try to bring an MBA to nonprofits. And then I also had an opportunity to go do international banking microfinance, so banking for more people.
That sounds kind of cool.
And then the third one was I got an offer for a startup. And I took
legit startup.
Yeah, like a total venture funded startup, to be the analyst. Yeah.
For the fund or for a company?
Yeah, so to actually go into a company and be the analyst, to be the first kind of finance hire underneath the CFO.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, sorry. When I think analyst, I think market analyst.
Got it.
Why would a company need that?
Yeah.
Funds need that.
Finance person. So
got it.
Yeah.
So which one did you choose?
So I chose the seductive glory of the startup world. And it was
even though you'd seen a bunch go belly up in the bubble.
Well, that was it. I got the job before the bust.
Oh, the bubble hadn't burst.
Yeah, I was part of the burst.
Oh, I was the first. Got bursted.
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
Yeah, so that lasted less than a year. But we were looking at Bluetooth technologies creating hubs. And this is, again, the year 2000. So those who lived through this.
Bluetooth wasn't really a thing.
No. We had to spend $5,000 to get a super secret NDA sealed Bluetooth thing and figure out its distance. And this was 802.11, A and B. I don't know if you remember those wireless worlds. Yeah, this is just starting the wireless world. You're going from plugging in a cable into your computer into having this concept of an area.
Okay. And you were there less than a year.
Yeah.
What happened to the company? What was your experience like?
Yeah, so they ended up merging with another portfolio company of the VC, the lead VC.
Just due to distress, or
trying to create economies of scale.
Yeah, I get it. And so you were rendered redundant and let go. Like, how did it end for you?
Yeah, they weren't worried about lots of financial analysis at the stage that they were at. So.
Okay. So they were shedding folks left and right. That's kind of a rough introduction to your career.
Well, we call it a great learning opportunity, don't we?
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So presumably you picked yourself off, dusted yourself off.
Yeah. And then through Ultimate Frisbee, right? I was at an Ultimate Frisbee party, and I got introduced to my girlfriend's classmate's fiance. You follow that one?
Hold on. I'm still back at the disc golf party.
Yeah, no, Ultimate Frisbee, man. Different to disc golf.
Frisbee.
Yeah.
So all you guys would get together and have a party and play Ultimate Frisbee?
Well, we play Ultimate Frisbee, and then when you finish, then we go party. Yeah.
Oh, got it. Okay, now repeat the connection of a connection of a connection.
Right. So I'm at a party, and it's my girlfriend's graduate classmate's fiance.
And this...
How about a guy? Should we just go with a guy?
You met a guy. Yeah, let's just run with that. Okay. You met this dude.
I met a guy, and he was back from Nicaragua.
Okay.
And he was like, I was just down there. They have these credit unions, these co-ops, because everyone's poor in Nicaragua. And some of them aren't doing so well. So I want to raise some American money and go buy basically bankrupt credit unions in Nicaragua. And I was like, sign me up. Yeah.
Why would you want to do that?
It was interesting because I had the Spanish, right?
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And I just gotten kicked out of startup land.
Yep.
So that one wasn't feeling so
You kind of need a paycheck.
And so he needed a business person. He was CEO. He kind of knew the market, but he didn't know how to do a business plan. He didn't know how to do the finances. And I was like, well, I just spent 2 years learning how to do that. And so we teamed up and we entered into some business plan competitions and we actually won.
Oh, so you were a startup.
Yeah.
Basically, the two of you were co-founders in a startup.
In a kind of a finance startup. Yeah, there are three of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you went up essentially a pitch competition.
Yep.
Okay.
And we won some cash.
Okay. Did you get one of those giant oversized checks?
I know. Exciting, right? It's funny how that we haven't had an innovation on that one, right?
No. They still hand out the giant oversized checks.
Obligatory. Yeah. So we did that. And then we had some good connections. So we got some startup capital.
Cool.
And ultimately, we ended up raising $1.2 million in equity.
Okay.
For basically an international bank.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And this was venture money that you were raising?
Well, we chose to do it that way because it hadn't really been done before. Like microfinance was known. Banks for poor people, ladies. 5 of them, you get $40, do a chicken or a sewing machine or something like that. And we looked at this and we're like, well, let's get some American money and create a bank for poor people. And at that time, there hadn't been kind of the equity securities approach that you and I know on startups. There have been plenty of institutions and there have been plenty of startups, but those two hadn't really been put together.
Interesting. Okay. So, but to raise venture money, you had to show you were going to exit, had the potential to exit and exit at a significant multiplier. How would you have done that with an international microfinance?
Well, let's put it into terms that are a little bit more closer to us. Banks, right?
Okay.
The American banking system is consistently consolidating.
Okay.
Right? And a good bank makes a bunch of money for its people.
Got it.
So you take those kind of, I'm oversimplifying, but
I get
you
it.
take
I
those
get it.
basic concepts and you apply it to a different marketplace.
Got it. So the Bank of Nicaragua is who you would have exited to.
Right. And, he'd been down there for 5 years, and so he really knew the marketplace. We had a
he
Nicaraguan
understood
partner.
the landscape.
Yeah, so there was tons of country risk. There was tons of there were various risks, but the market was large and growing. Central America was well placed statistically to do kind of a roll up.
Yeah.
And that's what the business plan was.
Okay. How'd it go?
Okay, next question, please.
So not well.
We did have some successes. Yeah, we ended up with 3 countries.
Okay.
We had operations in 3 different countries.
Okay.
And then we actually ended up with some good capital, both through equity, and then we got some subsidy. And then we got access to other debt from larger institutions.
Okay. By the way, were you living in Central America at the time?
I was up in Boston.
Okay.
And then we went down to Nicaragua. And those of you who have been to Boston, I didn't do so well with that winter there in Boston. So that was another 1-year experience.
Okay, so you got bounced out of Boston by the winter?
I did, yeah. I chose to leave Boston.
You went from Seattle to Boston?
Went from Seattle to Boston, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I did that for a few years, and then I was too expensive, right? So where we got to is we were in the countries, but because we were small in these small marketplaces, each country level location, like your branch, was financially self-sufficient. But then where we got to once we had spent the equity money is that the head office was a cost center.
Okay.
And so until each country level efforts could prove kind of the unit measurement, so to speak. And so that was when it was time to go because I was made redundant because you could have an MBA in Mexico or an MBA in Nicaragua who could do the things that were most important for the company at the time.
Ouch. Okay. So then what? And by the way, you went from Boston down to Nicaragua, is that correct?
We were going back and forth.
You were going back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you leave that microfinance company. Presumably you left Boston as well.
I left Boston, went down to D.C. I had a great opportunity because I was in the microfinance
because D.C.
industry.
has much greater weather than Boston. That was sarcasm.
9 months out of the year.
Okay.
Yeah. So because I was in the microfinance world scene, I got a gig with a really great group called Grameen Foundation. So this is Muhammad Yunus, International Peace, and now he's actually leading Bangladesh at the moment.
Still in microfinance?
Yeah, this was in microfinance, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then another role, let's see, Enterprise Development Group.
Yeah, so that was just international development consulting.
Okay.
So the Green thing, that was cool. A couple things happened. One is Muhammad Yunus won the Nobel Prize for economics. And so it was a really big time of a growing marketplace.
Okay.
So, if you follow...
So microfinance was quite hot?
Microfinance was hot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were part of the U.S. organization that's a little bit like a venture entity where we would raise the money and then we'd work with international partners. So I got to go to 20 countries and work with these amazing leaders doing banking in 20 different countries, and just mind-blowing. Yeah. I got to do that.
Okay.
But like marketplaces that you and I both know, you look at cars, you look at washing machines, you look at computers, how they grow through these markets, and then the consolidation phase, right? And it's funny, or it's interesting that in international development and the social work that you and I were talking about, the same market dynamics can occur.
Okay.
You have innovation, you have proliferation, but then you
consolidation.
have consolidation.
Okay. And that happened in the microfinance world?
It did, yeah.
Okay. But microfinance is a healthy thing today, correct?
It is, yeah, it still is.
Okay. It's not my world, but I hear about it quite a bit. Okay.
Yeah, and New Mexico has some of the strongest credit unions in the nation.
Yes.
And so, we talk about being one of the poorest states in the country and all these things, but there's amazing resources here in New Mexico.
Absolutely.
That we can do through business to help our fellow citizens and help the state.
Yeah. I was interviewing Michelle Deerholt from Nusenda Credit Union, and she was telling me about their microfinancing initiative.
Yeah.
So, at what point do you end up in New Mexico? According to LinkedIn, it's as finance director for Alan Weber for governor of New Mexico.
Yeah, that's a true
Was
statement.
that your first gig?
No, I was here in New Mexico. So I had a college buddy from Sussex.
Okay.
From Ultimate Frisbee.
Okay.
And he was
Man, that
out
Ultimate Frisbee, that paid
I'm telling
dividends.
you, fencing too, great
Yeah.
networks.
Oh, fencing and okay.
So he was out here and he worked for the newspaper. So I'd come
For
out
the
here.
Journal?
He worked in Santa Fe. So first for the Reporter, and then for the Santa Fe Reporter, and then the New Mexican.
The New Mexican. Okay.
And so he had amazing relationships. Like I'd come visit and he'd take me up to Chimayo and introduce me to all these lowrider people that he'd done a photo essay on, right? And so you just got this mind-blowing kind of inner lookings of wonderful things in the state. And I was really smitten. So thanks to him and his wife, moved out here, met a gal, and was...
And by here, you meant Santa Fe. You ultimately landed in Santa Fe, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Doug likes to make these distinctions.
I
He's
do.
very specific about place.
Yeah.
So I was going between DC and Santa Fe.
Okay.
And I was doing international development work. I was doing banking.
Okay. And by the way, this would have been what, 2010-ish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Doing my math. Yeah, 2010.
Okay.
And then I started getting gigs here in New Mexico as a consultant.
What was appealing to you about New Mexico? You said you were smitten with it.
Yeah.
Looking at lowriders and stuff like that. Like what?
Well, you and I have
as
talked
an
about
East
this.
Coast guy.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but you and I haven't talked about it on air.
Okay, fair enough. Hang on. New Mexico, the history, again, going back to both my parents and my
because
background.
you're a history dork. I'm a history dork.
And the seeping of the people who have been here. So the fact that we have our indigenous communities and our indigenous history, and then the folks, the Spanish at that point, Hispanic people who came, and they're claiming being here for a very, very long time.
Okay.
And then each successive wave, people who come here really like to own what it is about being here.
Yep.
And I think that resonates for me, as opposed to just a transient place where you're here because of a job or you're here because of a city.
Right.
And the land is visceral, right? And the color scheme, the things that George O'Keeffe and the Taoist artists, the things that we see are really powerful to me and really resonate.
Okay. So talk to me about your professional career here.
Yeah. So trying to remember my first New Mexico gig. So I was doing this international development thing. So I'd get on a plane, I'd go to some place like Haiti, and I'd work with a microfinance institution for...
Man, you've been to Haiti?
Yeah.
Oof.
People should go. It's sad, but it's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. The other side of the island,
Yeah.
Dominican Republic,
Yep.
a little nicer.
Yeah.
A little more tourist friendly.
I've heard.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
Yeah. So I'd do that gig and then I'd come back and at the end of a consulting gig, you do your reports and you do your administration stuff. You usually have a week.
Yeah.
And so I'd come back to New Mexico after being in a place like Haiti and just kind of revel being here and, go to restaurants.
But you also were maintaining a residence in D.C.?
I was kind of two-placed. I don't know a good word for that. Because it's not bi-coastal. So what am I if I'm two places?
Yeah. And again, New Mexico's not easy to get to.
Yeah. Took a little while.
Yeah.
But, the gigs would usually pay for your flight, right?
Okay.
So I get to come back here. And then I got to do consulting here. I got hired. I got to go up to Cuesta.
Okay.
Right? Because the molybdenum mine was open. The moly mine was closing, and they were trying to figure out, how do we keep this as a town? How does this place be a thriving place when the biggest employer closes and it counts for 60% of the population of the town, of the village?
Yeah.
And so there was a great project over a year where we worked with some of the local organizations, the local people, to figure out, what do we do? How does this place?
Yep.
And that was a transference of some of the stuff. People would say, hey, some people would say, oh, New Mexico is like a third world country. But more politely, they would say, hey, look, we've got the history and we have some of the same problem sets that you experience. And so why get on a plane and go all the way over there? Why don't you just look at what you're doing
work
here?
in your own backyard.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was really compelling and true. And so I got some really great consulting opportunities that were really powerful for me to meet people and to work with really, really sharp New Mexicans, really smart people who cared.
Okay. And then you've joined this gentleman, Alan Weber, for governor. Tell me about that. I don't even know. I've never heard the name Alan Weber.
Really?
I take it he didn't become governor.
Well, so he's now the mayor of Santa Fe.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was one of the co-founders of Fast Company magazine.
Okay. I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then before that, he also Harvard Business Review.
Okay.
So this is a guy who had national prominence.
Okay.
And then he had a home here in Santa Fe.
Was he native? New Mexican, I should say.
He's not a New Mexican, no.
Okay,
He
got
came
it.
here because he loved the place, like many other people. He was in Santa Fe.
Got it.
And there was a circle of us trying to use business from other places to New Mexico, which many people can know is a little challenging, right?
You were trying to relocate businesses, or
We were trying to bring in businesses from the coast,
Or
so like
attract.
people,
Got it,
attract
got
them.
it,
People
got
had
it.
innovations, and that wasn't going really well. And so the thought was, hey, look, if we're going to create change, and we're the ones who are focusing, or he in this case, is with a national reputation, wanted to focus on the change, and so it kind of came to him trying to, he had to be the things that he was talking about doing. And he is a mentor of mine in national reputation, appreciated what his word was. And so I did this finance director position, which is basically sales.
Yeah.
And
funny.
if anyone's ever done political fundraising before, you have my heart, you have my soul. And I guess I have to obligatorily write you a check.
literally you were just going around asking for money?
Yeah, constantly.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that is politics.
Yeah.
Was this your first introduction to New Mexico politics?
That was the deepest. Yeah. One of my younger brother is a political pollster.
Okay. Here in the state?
In San Francisco.
Oh, in San Francisco.
So I'd seen his world a little bit.
Okay.
And certainly I'd seen kind of the elections and things like that. So
Yeah.
that wasn't terribly new, but the idea of, and I'd done sales, I'd done fundraising, I'd done capital raising.
Right. No, but I meant politics in New Mexico, which, as you know now, is its own beast, if you will.
It's a beast.
Yeah.
I luckily didn't have to get stomped on too much, but it's definitely through the washing machine.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. But Alan today is the mayor of Santa Fe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's finishing his second term. So
Okay. Is he a good mayor?
he's done a lot. He's had some challenges. I mean, we all have. I mean, COVID, you can imagine, not an easy
Was he
time.
mayor during COVID? Yeah, that was kind of rough.
Yeah, and then there was some things with how do you put it succinctly? Trying to think how to tell a story. I think in a business podcast, it's a little hard to tell a political story. So could we just skip that one?
Sure, let's skip it.
He's done fine.
Okay,
yes.
he's doing just fine. Well, and then eventually you end up at this little company, Meow Wolf.
Yeah. You've heard of that one, right?
I have heard of that
You
one.
been?
I've met Vince. I've sat on a panel with him. Interesting character. And you joined in 2016, which would have been very early days.
Yeah.
Tell me what that was like. And I've heard a little bit about it from Vince, but
Yeah.
tell me about those early days at Meow Wolf.
Yeah. So Meow Wolf, really pleased to have been part of what I think is a really crowning New Mexican success.
For the listener who might not be aware, what is Meow Wolf?
Yeah. So Meow Wolf, you buy a ticket, you go into an abandoned bowling alley that had been remodeled, and you get your mind blown. And you enter, and there's a world. So it's kind of like punk Disneyland.
Okay.
But you get to do your own story. And so if you haven't been, you can go to Santa Fe, you can go to Denver, Dallas, Houston, and soon LA, and then New York.
Okay.
So Meow Wolf was a collective of artists. It was literally a co-op. It wasn't even a legal entity. It was
Right.
just artists coming together to do
Right.
joint work.
Right.
And they figured out making art together could be a powerful story.
Okay.
And then they got this little guy named George R. R. Martin to support him. And George R. R. Martin bought this abandoned bowling alley in Santa Fe that was literally on the wrong side of the tracks.
Okay.
Had been empty for 10 years.
Okay.
And we put together a business plan to build this world inside the bowling alley and to have concerts and to have a bar and to have kids' art projects, not at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And doors weren't open yet. Meow Wolf had been together at that point 6 years. So they had a history.
Really?
They had a management team.
Huh.
So even though it was this punk art group, from a business perspective, they had a bunch of things that were really compelling. They had a management team.
Okay.
They had already failed. They had failed early, failed often. They had rejected a bunch of other business models that hadn't worked.
Okay.
And then they had a beta. So they got invited by CCA, which is one of our art institutions in Santa Fe. And they got given this, what was a tank garage. It was 10,000 square feet. And there was a period between shows, and they said, hey, look, do something cool that's going to attract people for 3 months. And they built an installation that was basically a big wacky ass ship.
Okay.
And they had 100 artists work on it. A lot of people worked on it as volunteers, and they made this ship with a story and art in it. And it was really popular at CCA. They had tons of people coming back. They had families. They would do gigs there. And so this beta, from a business perspective, even though it's the art world, really worked. And so they wanted to take this thing that was specifically a short-term experience and create it as a product.
Interesting. Okay.
And so Vince, who's an artist but a really brilliant guy, really, really sharp, and his team of fellow leaders. Again, I joined one of 6 people. There was already 6 people who was the management team, and there was a few business people that joined. And they didn't have the business language. They hadn't done the schooling.
Sure.
But intuitively, they had come to these conclusions that was really powerful. And look how well they've done. I mean, they're in New Mexico, I think, treasure now. And
I agree.
If you haven't seen them, there's a documentary that you can get on the Meow Wolf story.
Okay.
It's kind of fun. They show the back of my head a couple times.
So you joined first as CFO, and then your other title was VP Investments and Capital. So you're back to asking for money again.
Yeah, exactly. You see the trend. So Vince was working on it, and he and I met through the political situation, and then we chatted. We had a good relationship. I started as a consultant, and the goal eventually was to see if he could do this, to kind of give him the tools so he could go raise the money. But I think that there was a couple of biases. One is a bunch of young artists, right? To ask for millions. So they wanted kind of the people with the titles and people with like the profile that would give some people comfort, right?
Yeah.
And so there was a reality there, even if it was just perception. And then the other thing is just there was too much work to be done as a startup, as you know. So we had to add headcount.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so you were there in total, what, 3-4 years?
3-4, a little over 3 years, and got to be there from before doors opened to we got to a second location. We'd signed on 3 locations.
What was the second location?
We actually started off in Austin.
And your first location was Austin?
Yeah, we spent a year trying to make Austin work. Yeah.
And it didn't?
It didn't. We thought like city different, Santa Fe, and city weird. Make it weird in Austin would be great. And it just was such a hot market, real estate wise, that it was really hard to do kind of the Meow Wolf thing there.
Because you need square footage.
You need square footage. You need to get attention of construction people.
Yeah.
They were Texans, so they didn't know who we were. And saying you're from New Mexico wasn't really kind of a rocket shaping moving for them. So we really liked Austin. We had a great time.
Yeah.
But the only opportunities we had just weren't appropriate for Meow Wolf as a brand or what Meow Wolf was trying to do.
So then you call Santa Fe is location number 2?
No, Santa Fe is location number 1.
Oh,
yeah, and then Denver.
Oh, Denver.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I was unclear. So
No.
Santa Fe, and then as we expanded, we tried to go to Austin, and then we did go to Denver.
So Austin as a number 2 was a swing and a miss. Denver ultimately was the 6. Okay.
Yeah. So again, from a business standpoint, you learn a lot from the failures, right? You learn a lot from relationships. Learn a lot about your business model and what works.
Yep.
And how to have relationships with contractors and construction people and financiers. And
Okay, very cool. Yeah, I watched the Denver location go in because I was up there, and it's kind of shoved into like where the interstate and the football stadium are all kind of located. So, but I haven't been to that one. Why'd you leave?
Why'd I leave? I was burned out.
Okay,
and we were taking the step from kind of regional to national. And what we really needed, we needed 2 things. Actually, when I left, they ended up replacing me with 3 different placements, right, in the growth. And all 3 of the things that they hired people for were things that I wasn't as good at.
Okay.
So they needed national VC relationships. They needed kind of accounting systems and real operational systems. And then they needed government kind of structure and systems in place for things like audits and things like JTIP and some of our programs.
Sure.
And so, could I have learned those things? Maybe, but it wasn't what I was good at. And I'd kind of taken it.
And startups, you don't want your people learning on the job.
It's hard. And so if you're natural or you're really good or you're the identity, it makes sense. But once you can start buying the talent you need, we say that like 100 artists, if I'm the only MBA, okay, great, I can go be center, right? But you can't see me on radio, but I'm not that tall.
Right.
So let's go hire a center.
I get it. And then you landed at what's kind of a very somewhat similar business, which is Electric Playhouse.
Well, I was really fortunate to be introduced by one of the Meow Wolf investors, Mark Fisher, who's now actually with us at New Mexico Vintage Fund. Mm-hmm. And he really did me an honor and a service, and he also was looking out because he had invested in Electric Playhouse.
He had, okay.
In Albuquerque, right? And he thought, oh, well, there's some similarities here. We could transfer and benefit and learn from what you're doing.
Yeah.
Both immersive.
Okay.
Right? If we haven't been to Electric Playhouse, it's digital projections. Mm-hmm. Kids during the day, kids and adults at night, and then parties and stuff. So if you haven't been there, please go. Can I do a shameless plug?
Of course you can.
There you go.
It's I've actually visited it. It's on the west side off of Coors.
Thank you. Yeah, and they also do a really great dinner experience.
Yep.
Because they have these rooms where you do this immersive dinner experience. So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I got to do a year there, got to work with the team. We raised the money, got the doors open.
For location number 1, because they're working on location number 2, correct?
They were open in Vegas.
Oh, they were open in Vegas.
Yeah,
Yay.
in Caesars, in the shops.
In the Caesars, yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, so go check it out.
Doing well?
They are. So Electric Playhouse opened, and then you heard this little thing called COVID, maybe.
Well, I was going to say, I do notice the date at which you were no longer at Electric Playhouse, which is June 2020, and I'm like, yep, I bet I know what was going on.
Yeah, so we'd gotten the doors open, kind of beta December, got them open January, and then March when things started to shut down. You can imagine that this is a super spreader type of place. So
yep. That hit Meow Wolf too.
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
Luckily, they both survived.
They did, I think, thanks to good investors, good management, and then also, I think, good public programs. None of us want to subsidize business as kind of a matter of course. There's so many other things to spend tax dollars on. Mm-hmm. But I felt that the programs, both at the state and the federal level, particularly for arts organizations, for Meow Wolf and Electric Playhouse, were really worthwhile, really good, and really effective.
Yeah, I love that they both came out of New Mexico.
Exactly.
That's just fantastic. So I guess to jump to the modern time, so you're now with the 2 hats that you wear, so managing partner at Vintage Fund and then president of New Mexico Angels. So you sort of have one foot in 2 different organizations, but technically you're in the same ecosystem, which is tech startup ecosystem here in New Mexico. How did you gravitate towards that? Why did that turn into something you really wanted to sink your teeth into?
I'll have to go interview my psychologist later, right? But, Meow Wolf went so well, right? It really was awe-inspiring, right? And we were part of it during just this elevator rocket ship ride.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of juice. I mean, the startup world. And it's really powerful when things are working. It's like
immensely rewarding.
Yeah, when the band is jamming, right?
Sure.
That's what it feels like. And so with that feeling and that success and what I learned, I was able to go to Electric Playhouse, and we were effective again, right? We raised money, we opened the doors, we won. And then from Electric Playhouse, I went to help Build with Robots, which is now Breezy Med.
Yep.
And quality team there. I mean,
shout out to Chris Ziomek at Build with Robots.
Matthew Ennis and the other folks who helped that out. And Chris is just brilliant, and he's such a hard worker.
Yep.
He's so talented. And so again, we raised money, got things going, got into marketplace. And so I had these 3 experiences. Then I went to another one called Dash LX, which is a New Mexican who actually lived in Flagstaff.
Oh, okay.
And the idea is what they call lived experience. So imagine you are you're a consumer and you're a runner. Maybe even you are a runner, possibly.
Cyclist. I hate running.
Okay, so we'll try to, I'll work on my cyclist.
Okay.
So you're a cyclist and you want to buy a pair of those nice shorts that make your rear end look good, right? Okay. And you've bought one in the past, but the company wants to give you marketing.
Okay.
How does the company know how to engage with you as a customer?
Okay.
And so the use case of Adam, who's the CEO, is he once bought through a sports retailer, through his wife's, he bought a pair of running shoes. And then he suddenly got on a list and was being advertised for sports bras. And so clearly they'd done some sort of automated marketing, but they hadn't done it correctly.
Right. Misfire.
Yeah. And so he was like, okay, so what's going wrong here? What has the company done wrong? How do I use big data? How do I use information?
Yeah.
And so Dash LX was in the business of helping these brands to use people's data, customers' data that they voluntarily give. So, for
Okay.
example, you use your running app or your cycling app in this case, and you use so many miles, and typically something will wear out. If it's a runner, it's your shoes.
Right.
So after 300 miles, they can then push you, hey, we heard you had these shoes, and would you like another pair of them? Or here's 2 others like it.
Okay.
And do informed marketing.
Okay.
And the feedback from -LX is that consumers are actually happier. They don't mind being kind of sold to, quote unquote.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
yeah.
As long as you're hitting the mark.
As long as you're hitting your mark, it's educated, you're helping them.
Yep.
And so that's what -LX was about. And so I worked with them for a year. Again, we had successes. And then from the relationship with the New Mexican, we were able to get the New Mexico Vintage Fund to invest. And then we also got angels, individuals investing.
Got it. Into that company?
Into that company.
So New Mexico Vintage Fund predated you?
No, I created it. Yeah.
Oh.
So it's,
So you stood up the Vintage Fund,
Yeah.
then made an investment
There you
in your... Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed that part.
yeah, well, I was vague and unclear. And
Okay.
mysterious. yeah.
Okay. But why? What? So you'd done the -LX, you'd done the build with robots, so you were kind of on the front line of funding startups. Why did you want to jump onto the other side of the table?
Well, I won't. Some of the other questions are like, why have you done this? Why history and stuff? And so I feel like one of my skills is bridging,
Okay.
right? So I got an MBA. I learned all this fancy terminology. But what I cared about is helping entrepreneurs be able to do their thing.
Sure.
And a lot of entrepreneurs like Vince Goodlubick of Meow Wolf, perfectly brilliant. They just haven't taken the time to learn this vocabulary, this vernacular, and they probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
So how do I help them do the best things that they're good at and help the company be its best part? So what puzzle piece am I that can really move things forward?
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough to have these successes. And so seeing this pattern, right, again, back to my history, and then the New Mexico Angels, this was during COVID, was trying to figure out kind of what their business model was.
Okay.
And I'd now done this kind of rinse, repeat 4 times. And I was like, well, I wonder if I can then kind of mass produce that. Can we say I've done it 4 times? Maybe I was lucky. Can we find 4 more and 8 more and 12 more? And can we get 5 more people like me to all work together to start getting the machine really moving?
So I guess on that note, tell me what New Mexico Angels is. And that I do know predated you.
Yes.
But it since has morphed under new management, shall we say.
There you go.
So tell me what it is.
So New Mexico Angels is a 22-year-old organization. It's legally a 501c6, which is like a chamber of commerce.
Okay, got it.
And it's angels, people who are accredited investors.
I was going to say, give me a definition of an angel.
So somebody who can invest in private companies, so not your Apples, not your Microsofts, private companies. And we bring them together as a group to look at startup companies and high growth opportunities and make decisions as a group. So what makes New Mexico Angels different than, say, an individual angel or just some investor is that we're trying to work as a group with what we call time, treasure, talent. So writing checks, giving our Rolodexes, and then also giving our various expertise in business.
Okay. And why not just go, well, you did. I was going to say, why not just go raise a fund?
Yeah.
Well, we did that with Vintage Fund. Why did the two need to, why these 2 entities?
Yeah.
Why not just smush them together?
Mostly because the feds and legalities. So you needed a separate thing. So we had New Mexico Angels, right? And we had people, we were herding cats. So we find a good company, Company X, and we would do this due diligence on Company X, right? We'd say, hey, what's going on with them? What's going on? And then once we liked them, they were like, okay, so write us a check. And I had to explain, well, now that we like you, now that we've kind of done our due diligence, we've looked under the hood, now I have to go back to the Angels and say, who is writing a check and get them to put their money.
So it has a pass the hat model, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's not the best thing for business. It's really inefficient.
Yep.
And so we then move to have people put the money ahead of time. Well, who
Which
wants
is
to
now
invest?
you're starting to look like a fund.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then the Vintage Fund, New Mexico Vintage Fund, was the legal mechanism to bring this money together.
Okay. But it is separate from the New Mexico Angels.
Yeah. So legally, it had to be a separate entity, and we chose to bring 4 of us together. And so Jordan Clancy, Mark Fisher, who I mentioned before, Travis Steele, and then myself, Drew Tulchin.
Okay.
I'm actually one of the general partners. I started off as managing partner, but with the Angels doing so much work, We have Jordan Clancy now. He's the managing partner. So.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. And it's an interesting model. I mean, it's vintage for a reason. You want to explain that?
Yeah, we'll see if we can do it short enough.
Okay.
So typical vintage of venture capital, right, is the venture folks will raise money for a couple of years, 2 to 3 years, and then they'll deploy the money. You know this, but for the listeners, they deploy money. Usually that takes up to 5 years. And then you statistically have kind of 5 years to run the fund, which is you've already invested the money. You got to work with the companies, and then you harvest the exits, we hope.
Yep. And by the way, pause you just for a moment there. So from the perspective of an investor, an investor who gives money to a fund is called a limited partner. And then from the perspective of that investor, you get your money back in 10 years. That's generally the life of a venture fund.
Right, statistically or stereotypically. And so the vintage is like a wine. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to have a shorter period of time. There was a couple of reasons for that. One is feedback of some of our members who said, hey, I've written checks, haven't gotten money back yet. Second of all, some of our angels are a little older. And they're like, 10 years, I might not even be around here, son.
Yeah.
So what we did with the vintage is we kind of wanted to do a series of sprints. And so what we said is, hey, look, raise your hand if you'd like diversification in investment. And let's take everyone whose hand is raised and put your money in a pot so that we have basically more purchasing power, right? Because otherwise an angel stereotypically would do 25,000, 50,000, or down to 10,000. And some of our startups need a little bit more money than that. Yeah. And so that's why we did the vintage fund. And so we'd get the money up front, beginning of the year, and we'd find good companies throughout the course of the year and then do our investments that way.
Got it. And you're on your 3rd year?
We just kicked off our 4th fund.
4th year.
In Mexico Vintage Fund, yeah.
Got it. Talk to me a little bit about the ecosystem here in New Mexico. What do you like? What would you like to see improved?
So first of all, it's very dynamic.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of people stereotypically will complain about business in New Mexico, but the startup and the high growth scene is very, very interesting. We're here at Roadrunner Studios, another great addition, relatively new. They're quote unquote Californian, meaning some of their leadership started in California, but now it's a New Mexican thing.
Right.
And the last 4 years has been a really huge change. We have a lot more players in the New Mexico ecosystem and a lot more intelligence, I think, around check writing and company. And then there's also good companies. So New Mexico is a very good place to be doing startup companies now.
Okay. Where do you think we could improve?
Improve. We are missing C-suite talent.
Yeah.
So we'll have a startup company. Stereotypically, it's an engineer or an innovator or scientist right out of our labs at our universities. Not always, but
I call them technologists.
Technologists, right.
Yep.
Stereotypically. And sometimes a technologist isn't necessarily the best profile to be CEO. I know, Doug. I'm here to blow your mind.
That makes no sense to me.
And
never encountered that.
And then, the other typical roles in a good startup, marketing and some of the operational sides. And New Mexico doesn't have as many of those people who've kind of been there, done that, or just coming out of school. And so I would love to see more either fractional execs or people who could just kind of join on the business side for startups.
Okay.
That'd be one thing. The other thing is because we're in New Mexico, and as you said, it's hard to get to, customer acquisition can be a little more challenging, right? Or a little more expensive.
Yeah.
And so I would love to be able to reduce some of that chasm and that barrier. I think that's Rolodexing. I think that's breaking our silos.
Yeah.
I think that's friendships and relationship building.
Yeah. Awesome. Tell me about non-professional Drew.
Non-professional Drew. Ultimate Frisbee. We're back to that.
Still?
Yeah.
To this day?
To the fact I'm 55 years old. We got they created a division just for us old people so we don't have to get broken by the young athletic people.
Okay. But you did leave fencing behind, but you stuck with
fencing.
The Ultimate Frisbee.
Yeah, a little soccer, Frisbee. So,
okay.
Yeah, there's a national tournament just outside of Denver and Aurora.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I hope to make it up there July.
Okay.
Huff and puffing, have to do a few more. Can we do some sit-ups while we're doing this interview? That'd help.
Sure. Okay.
Go for a jog.
Right. What else besides Ultimate Frisbee?
Ultimate Frisbee. So Santa Fe, one of the benefits of being up there is the art scene, right?
Okay.
So to go to galleries, go to museums is a real wonder, and all the artists that are up there and the craftspeople. So, for example, yesterday, Sunday, I just went to Swaya's Native American fashion show. Okay. Yeah, really amazing thing. And it's just right down the street from me, right? And just international repute of amazingness. So hats off to everyone who's part of that and is part of Indian Market and some of the other festivals in Santa Fe.
Last question for you, Drew. I always like to end with this. I was going to say, give me a pitch for your career, but your career's zigged and zagged. Maybe give me a pitch for your current role in what you're doing today. Why, there's got to be more to it than just the financial rewards. What gets you up in the morning? What gets you excited every day? Yeah,
believe it or not, running a New Mexico Angels, an angel group is not remunerative. It's, like leading a chamber of commerce. So this is not a wealth building activity. We do get to be near some startups, so I get to see some opportunities to invest. So certainly there's self-interest. But I'm really passionate. I mentioned the bridge building before. Yeah. And I'm really passionate that I've had a lot of opportunities and blessings in my life. But just because someone didn't go to school doesn't mean they're stupid.
Right. No, exactly.
In New Mexico, there's amazing things happening here. And so if I can do just a little bit to help nudge some of those along and help some of those entrepreneurs reduce the burden and the stress of some of the things they have to do, then I feel really like I've done a good job. Okay. And that's what I'm into. You and I have met through business and startups, and I think we have a common interest that we know there's the potential here. Yeah. And we just really want to see New Mexico be all it can be for everybody.
Got it. Give 18-year-old Drew some advice.
Oh, man. Listen.
Okay.
Listen before speaking.
You weren't so good at that back in the day?
No, I thought it was important to kind of be smart and say cool things and stuff. And older me has learned that there's plenty of smart people out there. Why don't you see what they're doing? Why don't you ask questions before you give statements? Yeah. Why don't you try to understand where people are coming from? Yeah. And I think that's certainly true in New Mexico, but I think it's true in business. Yeah. And the people that I've been impressed by, the really good people I've learned from, they don't have to talk that much. Yeah. Because they just get things done.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. Ask questions before making statements. That's awesome. Well, Drew, thanks for sitting down with me.
Thank you, Doug. Thanks for what you're doing. Those Leaders of Enchantment is great stuff, and you're doing a lot of good things in the community.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.